time to wake up. It's time to wake up. It's time to wake up. It's time to wake up.
Another topic is in Europe called the European Building Performance Directive. In Germany, it's the GEG, called Gebäudeenergiegesetz. That falls into three main parts. One part is focusing the real estate, which means for the first time ever, real estate or residential buildings with more than 6 flats, they have to focus to investing and using building automation in their building infrastructure. The other part focuses on new non-residential buildings. So every office building, every production site, every logistic site, they have to be, if they are new built, they have to fulfill specific requirements regarding the quality of the building, regarding the emission quality of the building. It's called the quality grade B, which is now required. And the third area, that's the existing non-residential. And it's said that buildings with more technology on board that is bigger than 290 kilowatt per hour, they have to apply a monitoring infrastructure basically by now. This has to be in place by the 1st of January 2025. So they have a few months more to go until the law really requires them to have this in place. And this 290 kilowatt hours, they have already been reduced to 70 kilowatt hours on a European scale. So in Brussels, some weeks ago, the European Commission decided to reduce this to 70 kilowatt hours per hour. It will take a few years probably until this will find its way in the German regulation, but to be sure, it will find its way. Member states are obliged to take this over in national legislation. And to give you an idea, I just spoke about the Class B. To give you an idea what's meant with these classes, I have it figured out for the air conditioning area, for the ventilation area. To give an idea on BACS Class D, BACS means Building Automation Control System. If you're talking about a Class D ventilation system, that's a ventilation system that's just on. It's just working. 24/7, it's always working. It's always running. And if you imagine, air is all around us, but if you move air around, we are not talking about square meters, we are talking about cubic meters. So it's really a big amount of kind of stuff we are moving around 24/7 if there are people in the building or not, if the building is used or not. And I remember lots of building owners, they came to us during the lockdown phase in the Corona, as we had the Corona lockdown, and they told us there's nobody using this building. We were forced to stop our office hours. But the energy consumption of the building is still the same. And that's the case because the building and the systems, they were just Class D. They were just always on. The second class, that's building Class C, that's a class that goes with office hours. But if there's nobody who's really taking these office hours into the system, then you automatically have a system D. So if there is no facility manager taking care of the office hours, taking care of Sundays and Saturdays and opening in the evening and all these things, then you have automatically a Class D building, which is always on. The class which is now required to have in building with a bigger amount of technology is this Class B. Class B means in the air conditioning area, the system is only on if there's somebody in the building, if there's somebody in the conference room, if there's somebody in the kitchen, wherever. So the system recognizes there is somebody there, and then the system starts running. That's pretty good, that's pretty smart, and it's pretty much effective. But if there is one person in the conference room, or 15 or 50, such a system does not differentiate between the amount of people. It's just on. So much better than this class B is, of course, the class E that's really focusing on the air quality in the building, on the air quality in a specific room, in the air quality in the conference room, or even in an exhibition environment as we are here. And to give an idea, class B, I already mentioned this, is required by today. Big buildings have to have this. But this class A has already been decided in Brussels to be in place pretty soon as well. So everybody who is now moving to B, because he's obliged according to the law to move to B, I would suggest to jump to A directly, because at the end of the day, A will be a piece of the law, and you have to fulfill this anyway. So, and this will be a real good move technology-wise. We will help our customers to reach this target, measuring the air quality and steering the control infrastructure accordingly. The third part, which is currently really producing trouble, is the CSRD, the Corporate Sustainable Reporting Directive, which means that by the end of by the beginning of the next year, approximately 15,000 companies in Germany were forced to report on their energy consumption and on their CO2 emissions, and to report in their yearly reporting sheet, in their official company reporting. They have to report about their emissions, and they have to report about their energy consumption. If there's only one small building, that's probably easy to achieve. If you're talking about a bigger amount of buildings, a big portfolio of buildings, that's really stressful, and it's not possible to reach this target by just capturing the information with a piece of paper and pencil. There need to be technology in place to capture this information and to make sure that there is an audit trail behind it, because at the end of the day, this information ends in the business report, and it must be audit safe. Yeah, and while we are talking here, there's already been somebody on the buffet and asking for his share, because all what I have been saying right now has already driven the real estate market down by 12% in 2023. So the strong CO2 and energy efficiency requirements, they already have an effect on the market. And we could say that the market already have an effect on the worth of real estate, and the legislator both are putting the real estate all together. So I have two key actions. Your organizations, owners of real estate, should do right now and start by tomorrow. The first is establish a real-time monitoring system immediately, because you need this to fulfill requirements that come from the EU taxonomy, the CSRD, and the Gebäudeenergiegesetz. That stands in the middle. With the real-time monitoring system, you fulfill all these requirements. Beneath, you need this information for any future planning and control. Every owner of a building, every owner of bigger real estate is obliged to figure out how to move forward, how to transport, how to bring the building to a climate neutral building. You will not reach this with a single step. There will be lots of small steps. They need to be planned and they need to be controlled. You're making a plan to reduce probably the windows, to enhance the windows or the roof of your building, and you expect a specific impact on the CO2 emissions. But you have to measure this impact a year later to make sure if the idea that you had when you started with the renovation, if you really fulfill this target. So you need this information about consumption and emissions to do the planning and control to make sure that you are reaching this target in 2045. Because then we will have carbon-free buildings, and if not, it's getting to be expensive. That also makes sure that you have future access to low-cost financing. Because if you know that for your building you need a reinvesting, you need to discuss new loans with your bank in 5 or 10 years, make sure that latest at this moment your building is under the climate path. Otherwise, it will really be difficult to get fresh money to have this refinancing in place. So it's mandatory to save money. And you need this for your reporting infrastructure, because you don't want to have people walking around filling Excel tables, sending documents from one to the next, copying from A to B. You want to have an audit trail facility, reporting infrastructure to fulfill the requirement that comes out of the CSRD reporting requirements and the ESG reportings. The second task you should immediately do. You should start reducing energy in your buildings by using AI. AI increases the level of automation by including the predictive, the weather forecast, for example, making a predictive control of the building automation. With this technology, we reach, in all our projects, we reach 20% of energy reduction minimum. Most of the time it was even more. So we reduce emissions immediately from the early day on with this technology. You reduce the emissions of your buildings, and it enables a fast return of investment. Why is that? Because it's just software. Normally it can be implemented within a few weeks. It's up and running in a few months, and you can save energy. And normally the return on investment in our projects is less than 2 years. Our customers really save their money using this technology. And that's probably also very relevant. You buy yourself time. If you have real estate which cannot be run carbon neutral, which does not comply with all the regulations, you have to work on the roof and on the window and on the facade and all the other things. But you can't do anything at once. With AI, with a software-driven solution, you could buy yourself a bit time to figure out which big investment should start and when it should start and how they should follow, how the next should follow each other. So buy yourself time, and that's a very necessary issue. So a summary for today: start immediately with a real-time monitoring system, because it's crucial. You need it to fulfill the requirements of the law, and even more, you need it to optimize your the work in your organization. And use the AI infrastructure to really reduce energy consumption in a very quick manner, a very effective manner, to buy yourself a bit more time in order to fulfill all the requirements that are coming now, which are required to fulfill the carbon neutral buildings by 2045. So who has been telling you this? My name is Björn. Ben already mentioned this. I'm working for Kieback&Peter. We are a Berlin-based company, but we are available, or we have subsidies in 50 subsidies in Europe. So we are very nearby our customers. We help our customers to fulfill all this target. We help our customers to digitize their buildings, to automate their HVAC systems, and we help them on the way to reduce the energy consumption of their buildings. We make sure that they reach their targets. You will find us in this hall in a booth F16, and we are free to discuss further implications in your environment with you.
It's time to wake up.